why are we not hearing more from the Trump administration about this? We heard a little bit right when it happened, but in my mind, that may be the one way that maybe we can calm things down and cool things off, is if the president-elect is making a lot of noise about this and telling the Russians and telling Putin, like, hey, this is not the path we want to take. We want to negotiate. We want to sit down. We want to resolve this amicably. We're going to end this escalation. If we were hearing that, then I would feel a little bit safer, because I think people are starting to get scared now. If you listen to Scott Ritter, he doesn't pull any punches when it comes to that.
Well, he tends to. No, Scott Ritter is great. I love the guy, but he tends to engage in hyperbole. There really is a threat of nuclear war, so he's right to be ringing the alarm bells now. But the way he makes everything sound is like we're all going to die in 3 weeks or something, which is, there's no certainty about that. Or if this happens, we will all die. It's never quite like that. So he engages, but he is right. But there is a risk, and he is really right to be shouting from the rooftops. More power to him.
Right. I mean, just the fact that there's a possibility. I mean, and I think you probably also saw that Joe Rogan also went off a little bit recently, which is great, because that Joe Rogan is the mainstream now.
Right, he can get out. Yeah, he gets through to average Joes out there.
Right, you see the Ukrainian shills were losing their mind on Twitter, which was great to see. It's like, okay, good. Now maybe we can start to talk about it a bit more openly. That, hey, what are we doing here? What is happening? Because this is getting scary. But then, what can calm things down and would make me relax a little bit, and I think everybody else, is if we heard the Trump administration make some firm statements, firm commitments. Yeah. But the fact that we haven't is worrying. It's like, what if he gets in there and then he's just like, this is, we're going ahead with this,
I've never had much faith in Trump. Again, he occasionally says great things. He occasionally talks to great people. He made one wonderful appointment with Tulsi Gabbard, but all his appointments before and since, unfortunately, like the last several that he's done, have been just horrible. I mean, they're just, they're, if anything, worse than what we had under Biden. They're all demented hawks. And so if he's surrounding himself with these people, he's putting these people in making these, these nominations, suggests to me that he's just not serious. I think he has that notion, like just everything being equal. Yeah, he'd like to end the war, but that's the way Trump is. He doesn't know how to follow through. He doesn't have the I think really the intellectual or moral discipline to follow through on these things. Because you're absolutely right. If he came out and made a firm statement, that could make all the difference in the world. Because first of all, it would be a message to the Russian government. Okay, look, they're doing this, but understand that when I get there, it's over. Okay, so please keep that in mind, in when you make your decisions on how to respond to these provocations, because that's what they are. And if you call them provocations, the Western publics would hear that too, and that would change their understanding of the situation. And Western governments as well. They say, oh, this is the new, the new leadership, we better not cross him. And he's made it clear that he's, where he stands. So I think they would back. I think the British, and I think the Americans would find, even though they're being pushed to go down this road by Biden, I think they would find ways of delaying or something, because they would understand that this is not good for them. And that they essentially have had the rug pulled out from under their feet by Trump. He could do it, but he's not doing it. You're right. And I think that's, unfortunately, it was all too predictable.
Well, why do you think he's not saying it? Well,
it's just Trump. I mean, this is what I remember from Trump in the first. He occasionally says great things, but he has some good opinions, from time to time. He expresses them, then he expresses the opposite opinions. He just doesn't really have those firm commitments. He's not a principled believer in these causes, and so therefore he just doesn't have that. Maybe he'll say something off the cuff that'll be great, but he won't follow up on it. That's just Trump. That's who he is.
Do you think there could be anything to do with the people he surrounded himself with these ultra Zionists? Do the Zionists want escalation?
Because, no, I don't think. No, actually, I don't think they do. I guess in general, they're usually the same kind of people, the ultra-Zionists. Most of them, not all of them, there are some exceptions, are also hawks on everything else. They just, it's a question actually of priorities. In general, the American political class is hawkish in general, and they all regard Russia, China, and Iran as enemies. It's a question of which enemy they put at the top of their list. But yeah, I think these Zionists, they don't care as much about it as certain Russia hawks, but in general, they're hawkish on Russia too.
Yeah, I mean, just my thinking was maybe that if things are getting desperate for Israel, they see that they've really painted themselves in a corner and boxed in. Same thing with Zelensky. Sometimes the only way out is just to start chucking grenades. Let's just go total chaos, World War III, and draw on the U.S. and hopefully come out on top. Because we are seeing this alliance between Russia and Iran, right? And in everything, I was watching BBC last night, and there was just a piece, and they were talking about the situation in Lebanon, and the guest they had on was saying, look, really, we have to go for Iran. No matter what, even if we reach a ceasefire, it's temporary, we have to take out Iran. Iran is it. So it's clear like that's the focus. But Russia will never let Iran fall. So I'm just thinking that maybe in Israel's mind, they say, well, we have to take them all out. We have to take out Russia and Iran. Because if the goal is Iran, how are you going to take out Iran if Russia is actively, providing defense? There's a mutual defense. There's some type of defense treaty in there. It's clear that Russia is going to support Iran. So I was just thinking, like, could Trump just be thinking, okay, he's got all these Zionists surrounding him, said, let's keep the Russia thing going because it might be good for Israel in the long run, and they're thinking, or is that just kind of crazy?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think they're making that calculation. I can't say it's impossible, but first of all, it would be utterly insane. I know they're all kind of unhinged.
Par for the course, though, right?
Right, yeah. So there probably are there may be some people that actually think that way. But let's just say I haven't heard anybody voice that opinion. And so I don't think that's really, let's say, a factor that's really influencing what we're observing here.
Okay, well, let's just fingers crossed that Trump can, grow up hair and really tell the world, like, hey, this is not the path we want to be headed.
Yeah, that would be, again, that would be the best way to solve this, and he could solve it. I just don't think he will.